I have no idea how old I was. All I remember is being little enough to fit in the front infant seat of a grocery cart. That would put us in the late 1990s, early 2000s. At a Costco, I was grocery shopping with my mother. So I'm maybe 4 or 5 years old, sitting in the front basket with my Game Boy Color when she pulls up next to a fruit display in Costco and instructs me to sit tight while she checks out various prices. I wasn't a really fidgety youngster, so I said nothing. She'll be back in a few minutes. I'm so engrossed in Pokemon that I don't notice her approach until the cart starts rolling. As a child, I've always assumed she's the one driving the cart. I was wrong. I noticed her red nails out the corner of my eye after a few moments. My mother never painted her nails and never ever wore them long. Therefore, this was a problem. I raised my head. My mother's cart driver is a little older with curling black hair pulled back into a ponytail at the nape of her neck. She had tanned Italian-type complexion, thick red lips, a heavy application of eyeliner, and brown eyes, as I recall. She seemed quite frail. Her teeth were yellowed and she had a terrible smell. This isn't my mother, and so I say empathetically. She laughs, glances around and pushes the cart a little. I say it again and she looks me in the eyes and says, "Oh, sweetheart, what game are you playing?" I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember the exact words. "I am your mother." So in the vegetables section at Costco, instead of aisles, they're more like islands, at least in ours. I can see my real mother a few screens away. I recall yelling, "Mum!" as loud as I could, and I watched her spin her head around to look at me. All the while, this lady tries to cover my mouth with her hand. I'm not sure if it's because I'm so loud that she decides it's not worth it, or if it's because she sees my mother charging from a few displays over, but this woman squeezes her palm around my little face and then leaves it. My mother rushes over to me and that woman runs away. She begins asking me a million questions all at once, and my little brain assumes that I'm going to be in trouble for using my outside voice inside because she seems so enraged, so I begin to cry. The lady is already gone and my mum reports her to the head of security by the time she calms me down. She's never found in the store, and the security camera footage shows her leaving with no one else. I'm not sure why she chose me or what it was for, but I'm just grateful my real mother scared her away and nothing came of it.
Storytime about how I'm in love with my sister's boyfriend and I think he likes me too. Actually, no, I know so because he kissed me 3 days ago. I swear I'm a good girl. A little backstory, my sister and I have never really gotten along. She's 3 years older than me and thinks she's the queen of the house. And she's always seen me as competition, which I hate. My mom would always try to make us get along, but it was totally impossible. My sister was always upset at something I did. Eventually, I stopped trying with my sister and I wouldn't make any effort to make her like me. Finally, last year she moved out and I was so happy. We celebrated my 20th birthday at home last year, and of course my sister came over. But she brought this really cute boy with her. Let me tell you guys, it was instant love at first sight. I can't even explain what I felt, I just knew that I liked him. Even my mom made a comment about how good looking he was. And can I just say that I caught him staring at me a few times throughout the dinner. After that, I never really saw him because my sister and I never hung out. Until my sister lost her job because of COVID and had to move back in with us. And this meant that I was seeing her boyfriend a lot more around our house. He was so nice to me. Anytime they wanted to watch a movie, he would always invite me. If they were going to go out to eat or go to the beach, he would always invite me. Eventually, I started saying yes, well, because I liked him. And something told me that he liked me too. And yes, I know it's totally wrong, but I just couldn't help myself. Whenever I knew he was going to come over, I would dress up and look really cute. I also had a pool in the backyard, so I would make sure I was in a bikini whenever he came over. I know this sounds bad, but it's gonna get worse. Well, guess what? Around this time, my sister actually got COVID. Thankfully, she didn't get really sick, but she was a little bit under the weather. And of course, she had to quarantine. So she basically stayed in her room and we all were on the other side of the house. Of course, her boyfriend, let's call him Mark. Mark would come over and bring her food sometimes. On one of these occasions, he asked me if I wanted to go to the beach with him and his friends the following day. He knew that I was totally bored because of quarantine, so I said yes. And guess what? He didn't tell my sister that he asked me and I didn't tell her that I said yes. So it was our little secret. The following day, I wore my sexiest bikini and we had a great time at the beach with his friends. While we were at the beach with his friends, I could tell that he kept staring at me. And he caught me staring at him too a couple of times. When we drove back to our house, he made a comment about how good I looked in the bikini. That's when I told him that he looked really good too. From From then on, we started flirting all the time, making little comments, staring at each other, and he also started following me on Instagram. So I got to work posting sexy stories all the time, and it totally worked because he would reply to them. So after flirting back and forth through DM, I finally sent him a cute naughty picture. I mean, not so naughty, but a little naughty. And that's when he sent me one back. Then he sent me a text message saying that he wished he had met me before he met my sister. And I told him I felt the exact same way. The following day, he came to visit my sister like he usually did. My sister had COVID at the time, so he would come every single day. At this point, my sister's quarantine was almost over. So I knew I either had to act fast or talk to him and tell him that we couldn't take things further. My parents had decided to go to our lake house, so I knew I had the house all to myself. And my sister couldn't come out of her room, so he and I were basically alone in the house. That's when he asked me if we could talk. We went to the backyard so that my sister wouldn't hear us, and he confessed that he really liked me, but he didn't know how to feel about it. He also told me he felt really guilty, and I totally understood him. He asked me what I thought we should do, and I just didn't have an answer. We just stared at each other for a second, and then he kissed me. And it was the most magical kiss of my entire life. We then proceeded to make out for about 10 minutes. After that, he told me we needed to make a decision. I told him the best thing for us to do was to just be honest with my sister. We went straight to my sister's room and told her everything. Of course, my sister, being the drama queen that she is, she started throwing things around in her room, and she called my parents and told them everything. Mark got on the phone with my parents and told them that he was responsible for everything, but that he couldn't lie to my sister and that he had to be honest. And yeah, I felt even harder when he said that. That's when my sister had the bright idea to lie and say that she was pregnant and that he had to get married with her. Mark hesitated but said if that was true, then yes, they would get married. I told my sister I didn't believe her and that she needed to provide a pregnancy test. Mark went and got the pregnancy test, and of course, it came back negative. Mark went home and I got on the phone with my parents, and I told him that I would step aside for my sister's happiness. My parents told me that they thought it was the best thing. So I called Mark and told him that he needed to stay with my sister. Now my sister is trash-talking me to all her friends, which I expected and I guess I deserve. But should I sacrifice my happiness and his? My sister won't let Mark and I talk at all. When he comes over, I completely ignore him. What should I do, you guys?
Today, I effed up by staying the night at my boyfriend's and taking a massive, burly-ass poop that, for the love of God, won't go down the drain.
Oh my God, bro. How big is that poop?
To fill you in, I am a 5-foot college student with a reasonable digestion system that occasionally decides to F me over when I'm in the presence of company. That's very unfortunate. Quick backstory. I decided to live at my boyfriend's hostel where girls aren't allowed after 9 p.m. because I love him and want to spend time with him.
Oh, it's like a regular Romeo and Juliet. They're not supposed to be together, but they're damn gonna try.
We also have a truckload of assignments to be finished and submitted by the next day, and it's fun to have company while working. I am also on my period and my stomach has been acting up, but little did I know it was for some other reason. Yes! Foreshadowing.
Uh-oh.
So I'm casually sitting and working, and suddenly nature calls. I rush into the bathroom, hoping to lose weight. Now I'm sitting there humming and expecting blood to flow when all of a sudden, boom, a massive, burly-ass crap just falls out of me.
I'm gonna poop a little burly man.
I think, oh well, now I can concentrate better on my work. As I get it from the pot, flush, I see a brown dash of color on the white commode from the side of my eye. And then it dawns on me that I've taken a crap that refuses to get flushed. I look for a bucket to fill water in and pour it into the pot, but there is no bucket because someone had stolen it. Why would you steal a bucket from a bathroom?
Bro.
Who steals a bucket from a bathroom?
And what are you doing with that bucket too? That bucket's dirty.
I decided to try again and wait for the water tank to refill and flush again. Yes, this poop is an integral part of my life now. It's still floating like it's a tube in the swimming pool of a rich person living in Hollywood.
Wow.
I try again. She is still there. It is close to midnight, and something evil is lurking in this pot. Now I'm panicking because I've flushed about 3 times, and it still refuses to go down. I decide to confess to my boyfriend, who is concerned since I started flushing 3+ times to get rid of it. He then laughs and gets up to check the situation out, at which point I decide to fight him because I'm embarrassed since I generally don't take burly-ass dumps. And this just had to happen in the house of the man that I love. After a bit, we both try flushing down the piece of crap, but it was stubborn and doesn't go down.
She's a stubborn one.
She
will not go down without a fight.
At this point, we flushed well over 6 or 7 times, and I want to just hide in the corner and never show my face again because of the abomination that I've unleashed into this pot.
I'm almost like imagining Pandora's box, but like Pandora's poop box. Pandora's poop.
Pandora's butthole.
Opened onto the world. Yeah.
My boyfriend then suggests to fill up an empty dustbin with water and then pour it into the pot. Obviously, that works, and the piece of crap is now rested in peace and probably clogging a different pipe. It's been half an hour, and neither of us can stop laughing about how I, a 5-foot person, gave birth to one of the nastiest, burliest, and most aggressive dumps of all time.
I'd like to begin with some background information. My girlfriend and I have been together for a little more than a year. She spends roughly 75% of her time at my place. We haven't had any serious issues at the moment. Well, up until this point. We were watching TV in the living room on Saturday night when we heard a tremendous hammering and shouting at the front door. We both stopped, frightened, like someone broke into our house. My first thought was to contact the cops, but upon peering through the curtains, I saw that it was the cops. I was completely perplexed at this point. I don't sell, make or consume drugs or do anything illegal. There are no firearms in my home, I don't do anything illegal online, and I certainly don't pirate Game of Thrones. I had no idea why they were banging on my door at 11 PM on a Saturday night. When I opened the door, they asked for permission to search the property right away. They didn't respond when I asked them why they thought that was necessary. As a result, I declined them to provide the permission. My girlfriend urged me to cooperate on several occasions. I refused and informed them that if they wanted to enter the residence, they needed to produce a warrant. They then told me that they had probable cause to search my home, regardless of how I felt about the issue, and that their request was really a formality. They took my girlfriend and myself into different rooms and began questioning us as soon as they entered my residence. When your local PD is backwater and bad enough, probable cause may be virtually anything. I keep insisting they should show me a warrant, but apparently warrants aren't even a thing anymore. I demanded to see their actual license, because this could be a disguise. However, they are real, which made me even more confused. I was adamant about not answering any questions. If I got arrested, I told them I wanted a lawyer. I continually stated that I didn't consent to any searches of my property and repeatedly inquired as to what the probable cause was. There was nothing obvious, thank you Breaking Bad, and that they had no right to invade my privacy. My partner, on the other hand, was constantly talking. Because she was in the next room, I didn't hear much, but I overheard her say, "Check out the shed in the rear yard. I've never been inside before, so I'm not sure what's inside." What the fuck is she doing? Was all I could think at the time. So the cops searched the shed and they found nothing. I mean, remember, I'm not a criminal. And they departed after an hour and 100 questions. When I inquired why she would try and assist them in locating criminal activities in my home, she could only say that she was terrified and she didn't know what to do. I don't require legal assistance. My mum works as a paralegal and has lots of contacts in the legal field. She's enraged by the police's actions, and she hasn't even heard what my girlfriend said to them. I'm furious with my partner for saying something so ridiculous, but all she can say in response is, "I panicked and I didn't know what to do." What I really need is another perspective on why someone would throw their significant other under the bus like that. Is this something that you think you can work through, or is this a significant red flag? Should I tell her about this? The whole story was a big surprise to me, and none of us wanted this to happen. But this could be something that troubled our relationship so far, so help.
Crazy story time about how my husband tried to unalive me and my lover when he caught us cheating. By the way, I'm at the airport again. I don't know how I always end up at the airport trying to do voiceovers, so sorry if it sounds weird. My husband and I have been together for 10 years, but we were best friends before we ever decided to get into a relationship. One thing about me is that I've never been able to stay loyal in a relationship. And because my husband was my friend before, he knew that. It was a running joke in our friend group that I was never going to be able to stay loyal to one man. Eventually, when my husband and I got married, he totally never thought that I would be able to do that to him. I mean, I never thought I was going to be able to cheat on him, but there I go. Fast forward to 4 months ago. I work in the fashion industry and I'm constantly in contact with lots of models and good-looking people. So this cute guy comes into my office and he's a model, and he started flirting with me right away. I mean, he was actually pretty much flirting with every woman in the office, but I was like, oh my god, he's so cute. I had 3 options. I could ignore the flirting, or I could flirt back, or I could flirt back and give him my number. I went with option C. I gave him my number and he texted me later that day asking if I wanted to go to dinner. I said yes. So I told my husband that I was going to be staying at the office late, which I did all the time anyway, and he trusted me. After that dinner, this guy and I were totally inseparable. We would meet up for lunch every single day and hang out for a few hours after I finished work, or sometimes I would get off work early to go hang out with him. I told this guy I was going through a separation and that's why I couldn't stay over at his place. And he believed me. By the way, I'm using the shade Verano for my Tanya collection with Aunat. If you guys want to shop it, it's the link in my bio. My husband travels for work a lot, and this was my saving grace. Whenever my husband would go out on trips, I'd invite my boyfriend to stay over at my house. While on one of those trips, my husband came home early and didn't bother to tell me. Apparently, he already had his suspicions and wanted to catch me in a lie. He catches me and my lover in the act. My husband went psycho, you guys. He grabbed his gun and held us at gunpoint for 4 hours. The entire time, he was trashing our bedroom. My boyfriend, aka the model I was cheating on him with, basically cried the entire time and didn't say a word. While me, on the other hand, was trying to explain to my husband that he knew that I was like this. Well, that just made him angrier. Eventually, I told him that I would give him a divorce if he wanted one. And that's when my husband told me that he was never going to divorce me and that I was going to stay loyal to him for the rest of my life. And I promised him that I would. Finally, after 4 hours, he made me promise never to see this guy again, which I agreed to. The guy told me that he would never want to see me again and that he didn't want any trouble. He also told my husband that he was a victim in this whole thing and that I lied to him about being in a relationship, which is kind of true. So then my husband got even angrier. My boyfriend ran out of the house and promised not to call the police. That's when my husband told me that he already knew about the relationship and that he had been spying on me with him this whole time. When I asked him how he'd been spying, he didn't want to tell me. This led me to believe that he probably has cameras around our house and that he probably put some spyware stuff in my phone so he knows exactly what I'm doing on it. Then he told me that from now on I was to never take the pill again and that he wanted me to get pregnant as soon as possible. My career is super important to me and he knows that I don't want to have kids just yet. But now he's basically forcing me into having children. Told him we should really consider getting a divorce or at least going to couples counseling, and he doesn't want to. I know I shouldn't have cheated on him, but at the same time, I'm being forced into staying in this relationship and I'm being forced into getting pregnant. He's even dropping me off at work and picking me up. I feel like he's always watching me and I don't know what to do. I also feel bad because I broke his heart and I know he's hurting, but he's totally going about this the wrong way. I know you guys are going to have some advice on what I should do, so please comment. My best friend thinks I should just go file for divorce during my lunch break, but I don't know. I feel like it's just going to make him kill me. What should I do?